Lesson 1. There are no absolutes. Now, what do we mean when we say there are no absolutes? An absolute is something people do body language-wise that means something very specific every time you see it. Those don't exist. There is no such thing. When someone says, "I just saw him scratch his nose," that means he's lying. That's an absolute. If they say, "Their arms are crossed," that means they don't like you or they're not into you or they're turned off. That's an absolute. Just because you see someone do one of those two things, it doesn't mean they're lying to you or they don't like you. That's what we mean by an absolute. So let's start with the basics, the very beginning when it comes to learning about body language and nonverbal communication. And the first one we're going to start with is this. A lot of people think when they see this, that person isn't into what you have to say. They're turned off. They're angry with you. They don't like you. It could mean that. But when you see that, it doesn't mean that every time. That would be an absolute. There are no absolutes. Take a look at this. 6 different people. Now, what's the main differentiator between all these people? Their expressions. Some happy, some sad. For example, this woman, she's angry, obviously. And this girl, she looks like she wants to believe what somebody's telling her, but she's just not quite sure. She wants to. She looks like she might be getting mad, but she's not quite sure. This girl looks like she misses somebody. Her arms are crossed, but she looks lonely. This guy, no matter what it is, literally or figuratively, he's not buying it. What about these two guys? What differentiates those two guys from everybody else? You can't see their hands. What else is different about those two from everybody else? They're smiling. In a little while, when we go over what the differences in real smiles and fake smiles, we're going to find out that the guy on the right, that's a real smile. Then we see the guy on the left, we're going to know that's a fake smile fairly quickly. Well, big deal. So what's the big deal about that? Well, let's take a deeper look. Look at the guy on the right, the guy with the real smile. His head's tilted, his ears toward you a little bit. It looks like he's listening to what you have to say. That's a real smile. He's happy to see you. Look at the guy on the left. His head straight up. You see both ears. He's taking in as much information as he possibly can. Now look at the guy on the right again. Take a look at his shoulders. They're a little bit relaxed. Look at the guy on the left. Those aren't relaxed shoulders. Look at the guy on the right again. Look how far down his arms are when he's relaxed. Look at the guy on the left. Look how far up his arms are. And there may not be anything in their hands, especially the guy on the right. He could just be putting them there because that's the most comfortable for him. The guy on the left, it could be the same thing. However, he could be hiding a gun or he may want to come out swinging. Something else. Let's look at this guy a little closer. Look right there. That usually most people don't see those kind of things. But as you go through this course, you're going to be looking for those kind of things. And what could that be? It could be a magazine that's rolled up and stuck in his back pocket. It could be a Glock 19. It could be a stick. It could be a flute. Who knows what it is? But somebody wearing a shirt like that, with that look on their face, with their arms like that, I'd pay a little bit more attention to them and what they're doing the next few minutes. He's probably all right, but you never know. So there you've seen 6 different people with 6 different things on their mind. Just because someone crosses their arms, it doesn't mean that they're against you or they're not into you or they don't like you. It could mean a myriad of different things, as we've seen. Like here, just because someone scratches their nose, it doesn't mean they're telling the truth and it doesn't mean they're lying. You want to look for a couple other cues as you go along that tell you this person may not be being honest with you. So if you're under the impression that if you see one thing, for example, someone with their arms crossed, that means they're not into what you have to say, they don't like you. It could be true in some cases, but you have to collect more information about what's going on in that situation. There's loads and tons and hundreds of things people are going to throw off body language-wise and non-verbally. They're going to tell you whether they do like you or they don't like you, or they are into what you have to say or they're not into what you have to say. And someone's arms crossed, that's just one piece of a huge puzzle. Like Greg always says, if you're under the impression that crossing your arms means that you're not into someone or you're turned off, you just know one word or one little phrase in a huge language, which means, number one, you're going to be a very boring conversationalist, and number two, you're not going to understand what's going on when you see other people communicating in this language. So remember, as we go along, there are no absolutes. But we're going to show you how to get around this and how you can collect enough information to tell you exactly what's going on. Now let's move on to how to practice what you just learned.